The desert wind of Red Mesa had a rough way of talking. Some days it whispered, some days it growled, and today it carried the kind of hollow moan that made even the raven's circle quieter than usual. On the far edge of the plateau, where the cliffs dropped into a maze of red stone, lived a man most people knew only by one name, Cole Hartman. A cowboy without a herd, a drifter without a destination, a man who had buried more memories than friends. He was the type who didn't seek trouble, but trouble always seemed to remember where he lived. Cole had just stepped out of his cabin, the wood creaking under his boots, when he noticed the smoke, thin, pale, almost shy, rising far off near the canyon mouth. He froze. That wasn't campfire smoke, it was a signal, but not a signal for him, or at least, it shouldn't have been. He lowered the brim of his hat and stared harder until his eyes stopped playing tricks. Yes, there it was again, a long, thin rise followed by two sharp bursts. Memories crawled up his spine, memories he had spent 20 years burying. He whispered to himself, it can't be. But it was. The signal belonged to the Apache tribe of the Shadow Stone, a clan he had once crossed paths with on a night stained with fire and fear. A night that carved a scar not on his skin, but somewhere deeper. A night when a small girl cried beneath a burning wagon, and he, God help him, was the only one close enough to reach her before the flames swallowed her whole. Cole felt his jaw tighten. That was 20 years ago. There was no reason at all, for that signal to be calling him now. He should have ignored it, should have walked back into his cabin, made coffee, and pretended the past was still sleeping. But Cole Hartman had never been good at pretending. He saddled his horse, a stubborn bay mare named Lupa, and murmured, let's go find out what ghost came looking for us today. The ride to the canyon mouth carved hours out of the afternoon sun, turning the desert gold and then copper. When Cole finally approached the source of the smoke, he saw someone standing beside the dying fire, tall, confident, wrapped in desert wind fabrics with beadwork that caught the sun like tiny stars. Her hair was long, black as obsidian, braided with feathers. But it was her eyes, steady, fierce, unblinking, that struck him hardest. She looked young, not more than 22. Yet something about her posture carried the weight of a woman who had been shaped by storms. When she spoke, her voice was both soft and immovable. Cole Hartman, cowboy of the Red Cliffs. You came. He took off his hat slowly, more out of respect than courtesy. You sent the signal. Figured someone was calling for help. I was calling for you, she said. Only you. He frowned. The girl didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't move except for the slight sway of her hair in the wind. Well, he said, you got me. Now what exactly do you want with an old cowboy minding his business? She stepped closer, eyes burning with purpose. I have come to marry you. Cole nearly dropped his hat. Marry me, he echoed, certain he'd misheard. Miss, you don't even know me. Oh, I know you, she replied. More than you remember. There was something in the way she said it, quiet, edged with pain yet wrapped in gratitude, that unsettled him more than any outlaw ever had. She placed her hand over her heart. I am Ayanna, daughter of the Shadow Stone Chief. And 20 years ago, when I was only a child, you saved me from the burning wagons during the ambush on Blood Creek Pass. Her voice trembled just once. You carried me through the fire. You shielded my life with your own. Cole felt the world tilt. Little bird, he whispered before he could stop himself, the nickname he had given the terrified child. Clinging to his neck as he ran through the flames. Ayanna's eyes softened. You remember, only pieces, he admitted. Didn't know you survived. I survived because of you, she said firmly. My people do not forget a life debt. My father swore that one day, I would repay you in the highest form our tradition allows. She lifted her chin with calm certainty. A life saved must join with the one who saved it. Heart to heart, home to home. Cole staggered back a step. So, marriage. Yes, lady. He rubbed his face, overwhelmed. This is crazy. I'm twice your age and then some. I didn't save you to earn nothing back. It is not something you earned, she replied. It is something you are owed. By our law, by our honor. Cole shook his head, exasperated and oddly touched. Well, that's fine for your traditions, but around here we don't marry someone because of a debt. Ayanna looked at him with a mixture of patience and steel. I did not come here only because of the law. And why did you come? Ayanna hesitated. Just a heartbeat. But he caught it. Because, she said softly, I have searched for you for 3 years. Because I wished to thank the cowboy with my own voice. Because I wanted to see the man who pulled me from the fire. Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper carried by the wind. And because the Shadow Stone are no longer safe. I have enemies. Enemies who want me dead. And the only place I was told I would be safe, is beside you. Cole stared at her. What kind of trouble are we talking about? Ayanna looked toward the distant dunes, where the sun bled into the horizon like a dying ember. The kind, she said quietly, that follows blood. The kind that does not stop until its prey is buried. Night arrived on Red Mesa the way a predator stalks its prey, quietly, slowly, and with eyes that glowed in the dark. The desert, so bright and blistering by day, transformed into a place of frozen shadows. Coyotes howled from distant ridges. Stars burned like a scattered tribe of ancient warriors watching from above. And Cole Hardman found himself pacing the length of his porch, hands restless, mind storming. Inside the cabin, Ayanna sat by the small fire he'd built, her silhouette steady and calm. Too calm. She moved like someone raised by the wind, fluid, silent, always aware of dangers unseen. Cole had known soldiers, outlaws, settlers, and wanderers, but he had never known anyone who sat as still as she did, as if listening to the earth breathe. He finally stopped pacing and stepped inside. Ayanna, he said, fighting the unease twisting in his chest, you said someone is after you. Someone dangerous. You need to tell me who. Her gaze did not lift from the flames. I will tell you everything, Cole Hardman. But only when the time is right. That time's right now, he insisted. If there's a threat coming to my land, I need to know the shape of it. Ayanna finally looked up. Her eyes reflected the firelight, deep, ancient, carrying memories that seemed older than her 20-something years. You do not understand yet, she whispered. The danger that hunts me is not just a man. It is a creed, a vow, a curse carved into blood. Cole's brows knitted. Well, you're gonna have to start from the beginning, because none of that is making sense. Ayanna drew in a slow breath, as if preparing to dig up a grave long buried. My people, she said softly, have lived by the laws of the Shadow Stone for centuries. Honor is everything. Promises are unbreakable. Life debts bind souls. But there is another law, one older, darker. The blood mark. Cole leaned forward. What's the blood mark? A sentence, she murmured. A vow of death. When my tribe condemns a warrior for betrayal, his name is erased, but his bloodline remains marked. Every descendant of his son, daughter, grandchild, is bound to carry that curse until the last drop of that blood dies. Cole felt a coldness crawl up his spine. That sounds like a punishment for someone a long time gone. What's that got to do with you? Ayanna closed her eyes, and when she opened them, the pain inside them hit him like a blow. My grandfather, she said. He was the condemned one. The room seemed to shrink around her words. Cole spoke gently. And so the curse passed down to you. Yes, she whispered. I am the last of his line. And those who follow the old laws believe that to lift the curse, I must die. Only then does the name of the traitor vanish forever. Cole stiffened. Someone is trying to kill you because of a crime your grandfather committed. Not someone, she corrected. Many. Hell, he muttered, shaking his head in disbelief. That's madness. You didn't do nothing. In the eyes of tradition, she said quietly, blood does not forget. Cole sat heavily in the chair across from her. He had seen cruelty before. Wars, duels, revenge killings, feuds that lasted generations, but nothing like this. Nothing that turned a young woman into a hunted ghost because of someone else's sins. So that's why you came here, he said. You believed I could keep you safe. I do not believe, she replied. I know. How's that? Ayanna stood then, stepping closer, her shadow long and graceful in the firelight. Because 20 years ago, when the world burned around me, when death reached out its hand, you were stronger. Faster. Braver. You carried me through a storm no child should survive. If anyone can help me outrun the blood mark, it is the cowboy who conquered fire. Cole opened his mouth to speak, but before he could answer, the wind outside shifted sharply, carrying a sound that froze both of them. Hoofbeats. Slow. Heavy. Measured. Cole immediately grabbed his rifle from the table. His instincts, forged by years in the wild, sharpened like a blade. Ayanna whispered, they found me. Not yet, Cole muttered, but they're trying real hard. He moved to the window, sliding the curtain just enough to see. Moonlight stretched across the sand, revealing 3 riders at the edge of the clearing, dark silhouettes with no lanterns, no banners, no identity. They didn't move, didn't speak, Just watch the cabin like wolves testing the shadows before a kill. Cole whispered through clenched teeth, damn it, they ain't even hiding. Ayanna's voice was steady, but her fingers tightened around the small pendant on her neck. They will not leave until they see me. Well, they can look all they want, Cole muttered. Ain't nobody talkin', you. The riders didn't draw near. They simply waited, their presence a silent message. Ayanna stepped beside him. They are not here to fight. Not tonight. Then what do they want? To remind me, she said quietly, that they are close. That they can find me anywhere. Cole felt anger simmer in his blood, slow, heavy, dangerous. No one threatens someone under my roof. Ayanna turned to him, her voice low and fierce. Then you understand now why I needed you. Why I came all this way. Cole looked at her, really looked at her. Not a stranger, not a girl from the past, but someone who had been running for years, someone carrying a curse she never asked for, someone who had placed her life in his hands simply because he once carried her through fire. He lifted his rifle, jaw set. They want you. They're gonna have to go through me first. Ayanna's expression softened, but her eyes shone with something deeper. Trust, relief, and a connection neither of them fully understood yet.